Hello, everyone, and welcome to the internet's stupidest podcast, Podcast Period. I kind of switched it up there, but it's the same intro regardless. My name is Ben, and with me today, as always, is my co-host, David.
What's up, guys?
I've got myself, all up in my head, and I completely forgot the order of that intro, but it came out correct somehow in the end. Oh, boy.
You've only done it for 67 episodes. How could you possibly F it up at this point?
I wish I could tell you, but apparently I've managed to find a way. Oh my lord. So, for everyone just tuning in, we're coming back from last episode with our double album review, so if you haven't listened to that, please do.
Please do.
This is going to be a regular episode. We're going to talk about a bunch of tech stuff. We're going to talk about the 4 What If episodes that have come out since we last covered them, which should be interesting. I think you and I are in the same camp on these last 4, but I'm interested to see exactly where we fall. So, and then we've got some fun trailers, so I'm excited to watch those. And without further ado, let's get her done. First bit of news that we're going to talk about. It's kind of a moot point now because it's no longer a thing. But had you ever heard of Lowcast?
This is the first time I've actually heard of it. I have no idea what this is.
So I started using it probably maybe a month, 2 months before all of this happened. So it's no longer a thing. Basically, it was a, what do you call it? Not profit-free company.
Non-profit?
Not non-profit company, yes.
Not non-profit or not for-profit?
Not for-profit, okay. I believe is what it was. Basically, their whole thing was they rebroadcast your local channels over the internet so that if you're in an area of weak reception, or basically if you're out in the middle of nowhere where you can't really get good reception, then you have the ability to watch your local channels over the internet. I was using it, and even though I've got pretty okay reception, but the quality and the latency and everything, and the fact that I didn't have to worry about whether or not there was a storm cloud overhead to actually get a decent signal was nice. And they had the option to pay $5 a month, which I think I did for 2 months before it shut down, so that was cool. Because, it was a cool service. I thought, may as well throw something. But it turns out that not everybody thinks that this is a good idea, even though, in my opinion, it's a service that should be provided by somebody. I guess it's going to have to be somebody else now, because Lowcast has been ordered to shut down permanently after they lost a court case over copyright. So apparently they were being sued by ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC over, the right to rebroadcast these channels. And it's not like they were cutting out commercials or anything. They were literally rebroadcasting the channels as it were in your local market, advertisements and everything. But I think the issue was these TV stations aren't able to accurately provide numbers as to how many people were watching anymore, because they don't have any control over this service. They can't see how many people are watching their channel at a time because of this. I could see that, but at the same time, you could work with the company instead of just trying to shut them down. And this is the second blow to this company, because I believe maybe a couple of weeks ago, they had another court case where they, even though they're not for profit, they were asking for donations just to keep the service running. And it was ruled that they would no longer be allowed to collect donations because of the what they were doing. So it sucks. Locast is no more, and yeah, it's a sad day for everybody, I think.
I'm actually very curious on how this works. How do they know? It's always interested me, and it's funny that it came up in this topic anyways. How do the broadcasters know how many people are watching? Is it going by like signal strength or what? Like, I don't know how over the air works.
Yeah, I don't know how it would work for the over the air stuff, but I assume they can get a pretty decent count from like cable and everything.
Oh, guess Nelson uses a technique called statistical sampling to rate the shows. Well, that's not what I wanted to know, Google. That's how do television's ratings works. I want to know how many people are watching it. That's what I want to know.
Well, the Nielsen rating, I think, is that isn't it? Doesn't it just say how many people tuned in to a particular show or whatever?
You know what? That's exactly who does that. Oh goodness. Well, whatever the case may be, I think it was a pretty cool idea. I live in a weird location where, because of the way the Nashville market is set up, at least my favorite CBS affiliate, their broadcasting tower is actually on the north side of Nashville, which then puts an even greater distance between Nashville and where I'm at. So we're technically in the fringe area of their broadcasting tower, even though I'm in the middle of, well, not in the middle, but I'm in a very well-populated, well-developed area that has access to all the cable and television and internet that you could hope for the most part.
Right.
And still could not get over-the-air television for that reason, for the local channels, just because the way Tennessee geography works and the topography of the land, you're screwed if you're not in a good location. And that is just made worse by the fact that their tower was north of the city that they're technically broadcasting from. It's like, oh Lord, you get better if you live in southern Kentucky than you do if you live in middle Tennessee. It's weird.
Yeah. That's the nice thing I'll say about Florida geography, is that you really don't have to worry about that too much, because I don't know exactly where all of the local channels' broadcast towers are situated, but I mean, Orlando is roughly the same distance from where I live to Orlando as from where you live to Nashville.
Yeah.
The only difference is you have mountains and I do not. I've got maybe a hill.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All you literally have to do is just make the towers tall enough down there, and you're fine. And here, it doesn't work. You've got line of sight issues and everything. You're on the wrong side of a hill, you're screwed. Sorry.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how tall that freaking tower is 40 miles away. If you're on the other side of a hill and you're on the gully, you're screwed. It's just the way it works.
Unless you can get your own antenna out of there.
Yeah, set a giant lightning rod out there. Hope your house gets
basically.
that. Yeah, I think this is something that needs to happen. I don't understand why this is an issue. If they tried to rebroadcast something commercial free, or did something else with it, this is just another way of getting over the air television.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is just something that we should have.
Yeah, that it doesn't make sense to me why this was like a big deal. I mean, maybe they weren't paying these companies to rebroadcast it, like Hulu or YouTube TV does or whatever. Because I know that they have to have worked out some deal or something for that. But like at the same time, it's not like they were trying to profit off this. They were trying to provide a service for people that needed it.
Yeah,
and they took donations to further along that service, which I can completely understand.
This should just be something that gets. Who is it? FCC. This should just be something that the FCC has set up a legal way for this to happen. They're the ones that are in control of all the radio frequencies and all that. This should just be baked in somewhere as an update to what hasn't been updated in God knows how long.
God knows.
Telecommunications laws have not caught up to where we're at. And they need to do a massive overhaul, and this should be baked in there somewhere. That's the end of that discussion.
Yeah. It's a sad day, but hopefully something will come of it. You never know. All right, let's move on, shall we?
Alrighty. So, speaking of things that will hopefully improve the overall quality of life using the internet, according to Elon Musk, and this is something that has to be said because he does typically say things that doesn't necessarily come to fruition. So
True.
Take this with a grain of salt. SpaceX's Starlink will come out of beta in the next month. So they're finally going to get out of beta testing and hopefully release this commercially. It's their satellite-based broadband service, hopefully getting out in October. And we'll see what happens. I mean, that's going to be like the real test of this. So far, it's looking like it's pretty good. There's obviously going to be limitations to how this works. Like, if you've got a lot of trees and whatnot, you've got line of sight issues. Okay, this might not be for you. But this is really going to be the test to see, can they actually sustain this network? Do they have enough satellites up? Can they get enough satellites up? Is the service just going to fail because they got too many people, or are they going to just limit it? We'll see. They are saying at least the first 500,000 to order will likely get the service. They're just going to have capacity limits in this, and it's just going to be how it is. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really going to know until it actually starts expanding out.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it works.
This is something where this is another one of those like wait and see things. Mm-hmm. It's like from what I've seen, besides like the obvious defects that you mentioned, like the trees blocking line of sight and the dishes overheating sometimes and everything. Besides that, it seems to be doing exactly what it promised to do. So, I mean, it still remains to be seen whether or not they can actually get that up to a capacity where it's going to be more than just like a little niche thing for some people.
Yeah.
But so far, it's looking good. We'll just have to wait and see.
Wait and see if they change the pricing. Right now, the pricing's $4.99 for a one-time cost of $4.99, and that's for the hardware, and then $99 a month for the service, which sounds a little steep, but it's better than nothing. And if you get, I mean, honestly, my internet has gone up to almost that much now that special promotions and whatnot have ended. I'm basically at that cost, and it's 400 megabits down. So if Starlink can do the crazy stuff that it was doing, I don't remember what I saw for peak speeds, but it was obviously going to depend on where you were at and how many satellites they had overhead. And it's going to be a while before we get realistic real world speeds for like a broad majority of people. So we'll see. But I mean, even if it's half decent internet, that's not bad Could be a lot worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely could be a lot worse. Cough, AT&T cough.
I was gonna say. They'd be $2.99 a month.
You didn't notice I wasn't necessarily trying to hide the shade there.
They have earned all the shade. 10
okay.
It's fine.
Yeah. So, this is the second time we've talked about the Pixel 6 in this show so far. And this seems to be like it's going to be pretty interesting news. So, according to Ars Technica, I don't know what their source is, a new report from XDA developers Mishal Rahman, he claims that Google's new SoC for the Pixel 6 is going to be a very interesting design. They have decided that and again, this is according to this dude from XDA, that they are going to have two 2.8 gigahertz Cortex X1 cores, two 2.5 gigahertz Cortex A76 cores, and four 1.8 gigahertz Cortex A55 cores. If that sounds like complete jargon to you, I will break that down. So, in typical SoC design for at least for Android phones, they've got a breakdown of a Qualcomm one here. Typically, you've got one big CPU for bursty processing tasks like app launching. You've got medium cores for sustained performance and small cores for background duty and low power processing. So now, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 and Samsung's Exynos 2200 both have one Cortex X1, three Cortex A78s, and four Cortex A55s. So, Google has decided that instead of shipping with the same amount as everybody else, they're going to put two of these bigger CPU cores in there, and hopefully that'll increase performance. We will have to see how that actually pans out, especially considering their medium processing cores are older A76 cores and not the newer A78 cores. This seems pretty interesting because it's not the same sort of SoC that everybody else is building. They're putting their own spin on this SoC design. So I'm interested to see exactly what sort of performance gains this gets them and why they would necessarily need two of the bigger CPUs for their phone.
Okay, so I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate on this one.
Right.
And I'm going to go with the why. Why are we doing this? It doesn't seem like it should be necessary if we're going from a Google designed chip to a Google designed hardware and software marriage like we've got with Apple.
Mm-hmm.
The inherent optimizations from that type of marriage should, in theory, make a move like this unnecessary. I don't know who's screaming for more performance from phones these days. I feel like they're good. There are times that I have like app crash issues during like a demanding like switch of task, but I'm also not running what was a flagship. Even at the time, it wasn't a flagship device. That is at this point effectively like a 3 or 4 year old design. So
Mm-hmm.
I expect things like that to happen. I don't understand why. Are you telling me that you did such a poor job with optimizations that this is necessary to make up for like a performance hit? Or are you going for like raw power and are you trying to be like an Apple chip killer here? Because nobody's really been able to touch the 8 Bionic chips from Apple. None of the core designs out of ARM or Qualcomm or anybody have lived up to what Apple has done. So are they trying to go for like a death blow chip, or are they having to compensate for something that's gone horribly wrong in design?
I feel like it's probably the former. They've had experience designing phones and designing Android for these quote-unquote weaker powered CPUs for forever now.
Uh-huh.
So it would make sense for them to want to beef it up and maybe pack Android, at least the new Pixels version of Android, with bunches and bunches of features or something like that, or maybe just slim it down and have it just go for raw performance, than it would be to compensate for something that they probably didn't need to compensate for in the first place.
I don't know. I mean, unless it's necessary, don't do it, in my opinion. Like, unless it's necessary to maintain the performance level because something's... I mean, I'm assuming they'll get better as time goes on with their in-house chip design.
Right.
I want freaking battery life, damn it. Like, stop. They're a phone.
Yeah.
I don't need it to process or render out a YouTube video or something. I need it to not die. I need it to function. They do a really good job of functioning, I think.
Yeah.
They just need longer battery life.
That I think is where this phone is going to falter. Especially with these two bigger chips, is going to be the battery life.
I'm hungry, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and
I'm
see.
with you. I feel like if we kept the same performance as even my Pixel 2, which I mean, crazy, ridiculous. Not even what is this now? Like 3 years old or something like that.
Something like that.
Still works perfectly fine. The only thing that I could say is that I could use a little bit more juice out of this thing. If you could get the same level of performance as this and have like a battery that lasts 2 days, 3 days, that would be amazing. And the only phone, not even with the same amount of performance as this phone, the only phone, a smartphone that I've ever had last me 2 or 3 days without me having to charge it is the Moto Z Play with that battery pack attached, because I deliberately tested it to see how long it would go. I did not charge it for like 2 days straight, and I think at the end of day 3, it was sucking on that battery pack. Battery pack was dead, and I think I was down to like 30%, which is insane considering smartphones these days. I get down to 20-30% by the end of the day on this phone. Barely even doing anything.
Yeah, that's my problem. Yeah, if I don't use it, and that's the thing. If I don't use it, yeah, it's a 2-day battery.
Yeah, sure.
But that requires me not to use the bloody thing.
Uh-huh.
If I want to use it, I mean, I'm constantly... The only reason why it's not dead at the end of the night when I plug it in is because I plugged it in on the way to work, so it's fully charged. And when I arrive at work after listening to music in the car, because Bluetooth will suck down a little bit of battery life, and because I've plugged it in on the way home in the car. It's the only reason why it's not dead at night. Because the last time it was charged was at most like 5 hours before I go to bed. Or something like that. It's the only reason why it's not. Give me more battery life. I don't need 2 freaking 8 X1 cores. I need battery life.
Yeah. I'm with you like 100%. All right. Well, let's move on to our next article, which is goes along surprisingly well with the last one.
By design, my friend. All by design, or whatever.
Right.
Whatever the god-awful freaking catchphrase is these days. I don't even care anymore. Apple has announced and shown off their new Apple 150. Who cares? The iPhone 13. Yay! And the 13 mini, the Pro, and the Pro Max are available to order today. Now, that's pre-order crap, which, if you want to, go for it. I despise pre-ordering anything, but we're talking about Apple people, and they'll do it. So, good for them. They didn't change much. It's kind of like it should have been an S variant of the 12. This is exactly what the S variants were for. Really, the only thing that changed, I mean, yes, they obviously updated the chip. They did change the camera orientation a little bit. They did add an extra camera lens to the Pros.
Mm-hmm.
And they did add a new 1 terabyte option for storage, which is amazing. I will give it that. You will need that for the huge amount of data that will be generated by these wonderful, and I don't remember the terminology that they used, but some fancy Apple terminology of, yay, we got great video, which I'm not going to lie, they do have good video. I mean, I will not take away.
Apparently the whole thing is, and I don't know if that's new with this iPhone, or if it's been a couple phones and I'm just remembering terribly, but apparently you can shoot RAW on the iPhone now, which, I mean, RAW takes up a disgusting amount of space, no matter what resolution you use.
Yes.
So, and to think that they're still stuck on USB 2.0 speeds with that stupid Lightning connector.
And see, that's the stupidity that is Apple. You want to know what got a USB Type-C port? The iPad Mini.
Are you joking?
The iPad Mini.
iPad Mini?
The new iPad Mini, which is also cellular compatible with 5G.
Right.
What's to stop you from getting that damn thing and using that as a freaking phone? Good luck getting that massive amount of data off your phone using USB 2.0 because they refuse to ditch the Lightning port, even though they've already done it on multiple devices. Like, what is your problem?
I don't understand why they, after switching over the iPad Pro to USB-C and having basically universal acclaim for that move, why they're still sticking to their guns with this on their phone. Like, there's no point. Nobody likes Lightning. Nobody.
It was good for the time, and it was a great connector.
Absolutely.
USB-C
it was reversible.
Has changed all of that. Lightning is no longer the best, and if you just went with USB Type-C, there would be should be one cable for them all, even though people muck that up, and not every USB Type-C cable is equivalent to another one. But I digress. At least the connector is. But no, we gotta have our Lightning cable.
Like you said, Lightning was good for the time. It was reversible. The speeds were great for when it came out. And the charging, I'm pretty sure, I think the charging at that point was pretty good too.
I think the charging was a little bit better, and it was just a more durable connector.
Exactly.
The cables sucked. I hated the cabling. I had problems with the connector was great, but then at the strain relief portion, they didn't have a long enough strain relief or something. The cables would end up breaking there anyways. So what was the point of the connector being good?
I remember it always being like iffy right around there. The cables would start to break. You'd start to see the wires showing through.
I went through at least 2 or 3 of those cables for my iPad Mini.
Mm-hmm.
And within like a year or two's time, like it's not like it was over 5 or 6 years. It was pretty quick. I killed more than one. Just by charging the thing, too. Like, come on.
So anyways, nowadays, USB-C, it's reversible. The speeds are so much better than Lightning. It's not even funny. And you've got fast charging, which it outstrips the iPhone so much it's not even funny. If I throw my Pixel, which again is 3-4 years old at this point, on my quick charger, my 5-watt quick charger, I can go from 20 to 80% within a matter of maybe 20 minutes. Now, it'll take a little bit longer as it gets towards the higher percentages.
But that's exactly what it's designed to do.
Exactly. If you want to plug it in for 20 minutes after you get home while you're getting ready to go back out or something like that, you will get your phone to where it needs to be to last you for the rest of the night. That is the entire point.
Yep.
Now, if you plug your iPhone in for 20 minutes, you're going to get from 20% to maybe, if you're lucky, 40%. So you ain't going to be able to do jack with it.
Nope. Stupid. So yay, wonderful. Oh, and they released a new color. That blue does look really good.
Yeah. If there's anything I will say about Apple's phones, is that they do make nice colors for them. Because I mean, as much as I like to black out everything, colors are nice too. And nobody else makes the colors like Apple does.
No,
but
they don't.
That's the only good thing.
And I don't care. I like the colors, but I don't care. And the reason why I don't care is because I'm going to end up putting a godforsaken case on it anyways. That is not going to be a good color. It's going to be going to be a black case.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be the end of it.
So, let's move on to our next topic, which is only interesting now to me because I finally got myself a Switch.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I work in a pawn shop, so I decided to just throw one on layaway. It was worth it. I only paid like $140 for it.
I didn't know you were thinking about getting one.
I got the dock, and I got like 3 games.
Okay.
So, the new Nintendo Switch firmware dropped, and they finally decided to support Bluetooth audio, which hilariously means that they could have done that this entire time, but decided not to.
Wait, are you telling me the hardware was there? The hardware was there this entire time?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Imagine putting something behind a paywall or a software wall. Who's ever thought of that before?
And you know, another interesting thing, apparently they've added the ability to update your dock now as well, which, wonder what that's going to mean. Maybe that new OLED model is gonna mean a little bit more for everybody. I don't know. Just have to wait and see. But yeah, I just thought it was stupid that they could do that this whole time, and then they only just now decided to update it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Thanks, Nintendo.
For real. All right, let's move on to the last one, shall we?
Alrighty, so I guess we've had this discussion in the past, and I didn't actually think that this would happen, but I should have known better. So you and I discussed switching to EVs at some point,
right?
And what would it take? I specifically remember saying something about taking it from my cold dead hands. This is the next best thing, apparently. In a first, New York has passed a law banning new fossil fuel vehicle sales, and that's the key thing there, sales, after 2034. So, yay. Starting in 2035, New York will require all new cars to produce zero emissions. The new law signed by Democratic Governor Kathy, I don't know how to spell her last name. She replaced Cuomo because Cuomo got ousted for good reasons.
Yeah.
Will help slash the state's carbon pollution by 35%. It would put New York well on its way to achieving its statewide carbon reduction goals of 85% below 1990 levels. So they're probably going to be followed suit by other states pretty soon. There's going to be some that aren't going to do it. Texas will probably be one of them. I'm not saying anything about any political nonsense. I'm just saying there's going to be states that this is not going to happen. Texas will guaranteed be one of them.
100%.
So yeah, I guess, if I can't purchase a gasoline vehicle, then I will have no choice. But that's so far in the future. Honestly, my mind will probably have been changed by like a massive update in battery technology anyways. The minute you get rid of the battery issue, I could care less.
There's the factor of time, and then there's the factor that they're only banning new vehicle sales. It says nothing about used vehicles. So, I mean, you could buy in 2034, if you really wanted to, you could buy your, I guess it would be year 2034, or a model year 2034 Toyota Camry that's still running on good old dinosaur juice if you wanted to. Just have to buy it used.
I mean, I wouldn't buy a car new anyways, so...
Yeah, neither would I, no.
I don't have that type of appreciation for depreciation. I don't want to lose half my value in like 2 minutes off the parking lot.
I think we're both still a little bit too broke to even consider that.
Yeah, that too.
Anyway, yeah, so I still stand by. I think it's obviously a good idea to replace fossil vehicles that emit fossil fuels and whatnot. I think there needs to be an update in battery technology, which, I mean, there's going to be 14 years before even this law takes effect. And there needs to be a massive overhaul in actual infrastructure. Because, I mean, it would be nice not to break down in the middle of the desert without, battery or whatever. And I'm not saying that they have to have charging ports in the middle of the desert either, because God knows nobody wants to go out in the middle of the desert and service that. But there's got to be some sort of leeway too, There's got to be some sort of middle ground where there's enough charging ports around where if you have to make that long drive across where there's nothing, at least make there one at the beginning and fill in some decent population areas, and there you go.
We
I think it's good.
We definitely need an infrastructure update for the charging aspect. We also need an infrastructure update just for the power grid in itself. There are not enough reliable resources that are zero emission, carbon neutral, friendly sources to take on the electrification of the nation's automobile. It's just there isn't. You will have to get the power from something. And right now, there is nothing that is going to make up anything unless you A, build more coal, which is not going to happen, or B, go nuclear, which probably won't happen because there's too much negative connotation to it for good reason, but safe is a relative term, but it's better than black clouds of nice city air.
Exactly. Yeah. In my opinion, I think we just need to bite the bullet and go nuclear, or maybe some combination of nuclear, solar, wind, hydroelectric. We need to use everything that nature has to offer besides burning fossil fuels and coal.
Need to. It's just a challenge.
And I'm definitely willing to say that it is a challenge. Whether or not it's totally a challenge because of human nature is a different story, but that's a different discussion for a different time.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's move on to our discussion topic, which this week is the last 4 episodes of What If. Yeah, I trust me, I'm with you. I wish that Wikipedia had a dark mode.
Ouch. I'm sorry. Let my eyes readjust for a second. Oof.
Hold up, I gotta search that real quick. Wikipedia night mode. This is something that I can do. Oh, it's a browser extension. Okay, never mind. Anyway. So, we are going to talk about episodes 3 through 6 of Marvel's What If series, which I have feelings about, and we're gonna talk about those feelings when we get to the episode. So,
you got feelings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get started with episode 3, titled "What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes." Over the course of a week, S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury director Nick Fury attempts to recruit heroes for the Avengers Initiative, but they are each mysteriously killed. Natasha Romanoff injects Tony Stark with an unexpectedly fatal injection. Clint Barton accidentally shoots and kills Thor before dying in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. Bruce Banner / Hulk explodes, and Romanoff is attacked and killed while investigating the other murders. Before she dies, Romanoff tells Fury that the murders are related to Hope. The Asgardians, led by Loki, arrive on the Earth to avenge Thor. Fury proposes an alliance to apprehend the killer. Fury deduces that Hank Pym is the murderer and has been using his shrinking technology to commit the murders as a revenge for the death of his daughter, Hope Van Dyne, who died in the line of duty as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Fury and Loki defeat Pym, who is taken into Asgardian custody. Loki chooses to stay on Earth, becoming its ruler. Fury begins assembling more heroes, finding Steve Rogers frozen in ice, and summoning Carol Danvers to Earth. So, we have basically got the darkest timeline of not only the original Avengers movies, but basically all of the movies leading up to the original Avengers movie. Iron Man 2, the original Thor film, no, I guess, and the Incredible Hulk. So those three. I don't know. It's an interesting premise for an episode, but this is going to be an ongoing theme for me throughout all of these episodes. This is one of those ones where I want to see more. This does not feel like a resolution to a story to me. This feels like we're bringing up a question, we're going through part of the story, and then we're just going to drop it and leave it, and you have to kind of guess what's going to happen next. I hate that. I don't care if you have to make the episodes an hour and a half long. Give me the whole story. Don't just leave it. That's ridiculous, and I hate it.
I agree with that sentiment for the almost the same reason. What was my initial impression? There was something I was going to say about it, and I kind of lost it somewhere along the line. I know we kind of discussed it a little bit. It felt like we went from, the first 2 episodes is like a positive spin on what if. Something happened, it changed the storyline, the resolution stayed relatively positive. It was believable, but it also didn't have a whole lot of serious implications further on down the road. Yeah, the players are different, but theoretically, it all works out about the same. This one, I mean, what the heck do you do with half the Avengers gone? What does that set up later down the road? It is kind of incomplete. And it was so negative compared to the first 2. It's like, oh, Lord have mercy. This is what we're going with?
I'm less upset that it presents a more negative question than I am that it doesn't answer the negative question. Because, I mean, like, do I like that they killed off all of the Avengers in that episode? Not necessarily. But at least it was an interesting question. And I feel like if that's what they're going to do with these episodes, I'm fine with that. I just want the whole story. I don't want the first third of a story or the first half of a story. I want the whole thing.
I'm with you.
Or at least as much of a resolution that it makes sense. I don't need them to go all the way from the first Avengers movie to Infinity War with this one episode or whatever. But, like, give me something. Have them defeat Loki or something like that. I don't know. This one, it was okay, but I don't know. I have to put it like a 2.5. And that's nicely. That's if I'm being generous, I think.
I'd say a 3. I've got worse ratings to come, so I think the problem I had with the negative turn is it hasn't changed yet at all. We flipped that switch and we've gone now 3 more episodes after this episode, and it has not gotten better at all.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think I'm mad that the switch happened and we haven't had anything to counteract it yet.
This is true. I can see where you're coming from on that. Alright, so let's move on to the 4th episode. What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? After losing his girlfriend, Dr. Christine Palmer, in a car crash, Dr. Stephen Strange travels to Kamar Taj and learns the mystic arts. He discovers the Eye of Agamotto, which can manipulate time, but is worn by the Ancient One in Wong, Doing so could distort reality. 2 years later, Strange repeatedly attempts to use the eye to save Palmer, but she still dies in every scenario. The Ancient One tells Strange that Palmer's death is an absolute point in the timeline that can't be undone, but Strange refuses to listen. Using the power of the Dark Dimension, the Ancient One splits Strange into two alternate versions. One, Strange accepts Palmer's death, while the other discovers how to gain power by absorbing mystical beings, becoming Strange Supreme. This evil version overpowers the good Strange, absorbs him, and uses his power to resurrect Palmer, tearing reality apart. Strange Supreme begs the Watcher for help, but he refuses to intervene. Palmer disintegrates, and the universe collapses, leaving Stephen Strange to grieve alone. So this is the only one out of the four that it gave me an ending.
Yeah.
I don't know if I find it a necessarily satisfying ending, because it sucks that, it's just the universe ending. That's the ending for this one.
Mm-hmm.
But out of the four, I would say that this is probably the one that I enjoyed as a whole the most. There were ones that I enjoyed more, but they didn't give me an ending, so they have to go lower on my list because of that. This one is interesting. I like the split between quote-unquote evil Strange and good Strange, and then that they have their little confrontation, and evil Strange wins. Yeah, it was this one. I would say it's better than the previous episode. I'd probably give this one like a 3.25. I still don't think it's as good as the first two, but it's definitely better than episode 3 for me.
I think a 3.5. It's I was so mad the entire time watching this until it's discovered that the Ancient One did split the good Strange and the bad Strange. Or Strange Supreme, as he is called. I was like, oh my god, like, how do we get this guy off this path? Like, it was so dark, and I was just mad the entire time. I'm like, this is not... We've seen him struggle in ways before, but it was so dark, and it's like, oh, okay. I do like this, because we do have the good in him still at the end. Now, he loses, and good triumphs, I should say, evil triumphs over good, which is weird, actually, because we haven't seen it much. I mean, we've seen it once, with Thanos winning, only to then lose again, but... Like, this was like a permanent end. It's like, oh.
Yeah, this is like,
oh, I like this.
Back. We thought that Thanos snapping his fingers, like, how are they going to get out of this? There's literally nothing that anybody can do to undo this one. This is it. That's the end of that universe.
Yep, done. Bye. Good luck getting out of that one, because you're not.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It was an okay episode. It wasn't my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. Episode 5. What if zombies? Hank Pym finds Janet Van Dyne in the quantum realm, and she infects him with a quantum virus. They return to Earth and cause a zombie apocalypse. 2 weeks later, a group of survivors, Bruce Banner, Hope Van Dyne, Peter Parker, the Cloak of Levitation, Bucky Barnes, Okoye, Sharon Carter, Happy Hogan, and Kurt, learn there is a potential cure to camp. They lose Hogan, Carter, and Hope to zombie attacks on the way there, where they meet Vision. His Mind Stone can reverse the virus, exemplified by a cured Scott Lang's head kept alive in a jar, but an infected Wanda Maximoff is immune to the cure, and Vision has been feeding pieces of T'Challa to her. Maximoff breaks free and kills Kurt, Okoye, and Barnes. Vision commits suicide to give the Mind Stone to Parker. Banner transforms into the Hulk and battles Maximoff, allowing the others to escape. To broadcast the Mind Stone's energy across the planet, Parker, Lang, T'Challa, and the Cloak go to Wakanda. Meanwhile, a zombified Thanos wields a nearly complete Infinity Gauntlet. So this is actually one that I knew about. I guess everybody knew about going into this What If series because it was teased in the trailer. I was looking forward to it. I was interested to see exactly how they would frame this, what exactly would happen. I think where it loses me is that in the end, more than likely, nothing changes. Because once they broadcast the Mind Stone thing, Thanos is going to get cured, and there's even less people to fight him off now. So he's just going to get the Mind Stone even easier and snap away everybody. Or half of everybody, I should say. So, I don't know.
Assuming that they even get to broadcast the Mind Stone's energy before Thanos gets to snap his fingers. I don't know if there's going to be enough cognitive abilities there. We are talking about zombies, but it looks like they're pretty well, at least especially in Wanda's case, pretty well in tune to what they can do. There's a mission at hand that he's going to complete. It felt, I like this episode all the way up until the last 2 minutes, and there's Thanos, and I'm like, well, what the hell's the point of this episode then, if it's just going to lead to this? I mean, the episode starts exactly where the ending of, well, not the ending, the beginning of frickin' Infinity War is. Banner gets thrown into the staircase of whatever, the Sanctum in New York, just like the beginning of the movie. I'm like, okay. And then we're sidetracked immediately by this zombie sideline. But then we end up right back at the end. Well, it's like, what the hell is the point?
Yeah.
Okay, the zombies. Who cares if it all ends the same? It didn't change anything.
Yeah.
It felt like a pointless storyline.
And that's kind of made me mad. That's what makes me so annoyed at this episode, is because it could have been completely different, and yet it was more like, if this line right here is where Infinity War is, we're just going up a little bit and then over and then up, right back down into it.
Exactly.
It feels so pointless. It's not even like why even tell the story if it's going to just end up the same way?
I think if they had told the story the way they had done it, and then they showed Thanos that has failed his mission because of the zombies, I would have been a lot more entertained and a lot more pleased by it. But he's there. So what point was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd say this is probably my least favorite out of these four. I'd have to give this like a 2. It's just
it's
pointless. It's pointless.
It's a 1.5 for me. I'm so pissed off that it was a total waste of an episode in the grand scheme of things. As good as the episode was, it was a total effing waste of time. But then the last one didn't do much better, so let's talk about that.
So, number 6 is What If Killmonger rescued Tony Stark. In Afghanistan, Tony Stark's military convoy is ambushed by the Ten Rings, but he is saved by Eric Killmonger Stevens. Returning to Stark Industries with Stark, Killmonger exposes Obadiah Stane's involvement in the ambush before helping Stark build a humanoid combat drone using vibranium. Needing more vibranium to create a drone army, they arrange for James Rhodes to purchase it from Ulysses Klaue. At Killmonger's behest, Claw leaks word of the transaction to Wakanda to lure T'Challa. Killmonger kills T'Challa and Rhodes, staging it to look as if they killed each other, as well as Stark stages a Wakandan attack. And Claw, before reuniting with his estranged family in Wakanda. Thaddeus Ross sends in the drone army to attack Wakanda, but Killmonger helps the Wakandans stop them. They make Killmonger the new Black Panther. As the United States prepares to eradicate Wakanda, T'Challa's sister Shuri visits Stark's assistant Pepper Potts, who is suspicious of Killmonger. Shuri proposes an alliance to stop Killmonger. So this would have been my favorite out of these four had it not ended where it did.
Yep.
Because it was so good. I kept checking the time. I'm like, oh man, how are they going to keep this going? And they didn't. They stopped it right at the point where it was going to get super interesting. And now what? You've got Killmonger as the Black Panther, and what else is going to happen? We know that Wakanda is probably going to be attacked, and then maybe Wakanda attacks back. Or maybe that doesn't happen because Shuri and Pepper Potts expose Killmonger. We won't know because the show decides to stop it right there. And that's what annoys me the most about this episode. There's so many freaking ways that it could go. So many interesting possibilities. And they explore nothing. They just throw it away.
Yep. My biggest problem with this, besides that, is nothing has changed. Killmonger is still Killmonger. He has betrayed and or backstabbed everyone, just like he did in the movie. His attitude's the same. His deceitfulness is the same. It's a different means to the end. He still ends up being Black Panther, or, well, getting... It was kosher this time around, at least in the eyes of the Wakandans. To the eyes of the audience, it's still the same backstabbing that he did to get in the first place. And we reveal absolutely nothing in the end. What changed? There's so many possibilities that could have been, and they're not, because it ended where it ended. Like, you wasted all that time showing the different ways he backstabbed everybody along the line, and you explored nothing new. We knew this about this character. This doesn't change any view of this character whatsoever. This is him being him. It's not like we changed an aspect about him. We just changed... And even the things that happened in the Iron Man movie stayed the same. Freaking Stane's involvement with it. The deceitfulness in there. It's all the same. Nothing changed. It pissed me off so much. We end up going to the same guy for the vibranium. Claws reintroduced in the same way, basically. Oh, here we go. Here's the same back door that we all know about. Never mind, there might be another way. I don't know. Pissed me off. Didn't piss me off as much as Zombies did, but it's like a 1.75 for me. It's not much better.
Yeah, I have less of an issue about everything that you said, and still more of an issue about where they ended it. Because I mean, I get where you're coming from. But maybe you're coming from it because of the title. Maybe the title should have been, what if Killmonger became the Black Panther, or something like that.
The title of this one is How Many Ways Can Killmonger Kill Everybody?
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I know that doesn't title with what the show is supposed to be, but... He didn't rescue Tony. Well, yeah, he did, but it didn't. If it had been a means to something else, I would have been so much happier. But it's not. It was a means to how he gets into control and power, which is exactly what his original goal was.
Yeah. I'd have to give this probably a 2.75. I think I like it more than obviously I like it more than you do, and I definitely like it more than the zombies and the one where all of the Avengers die. But it's still, the first two so far are still the best that they've done.
I really liked the series after the first 2 episodes, and it gave me a lot of hope.
Yeah.
If I hadn't seen the first 2 episodes and I was just left with these 4, I wouldn't be continuing to watch it. Like, it's disappointed me for 4 weeks now. I want something to go right. And I don't know. We'll have to see what else is coming. How many more episodes are there? Is it 8 or 9? For total?
It's 9, so there's going to be 3 more.
3 more episodes, huh? Okay.
Yep. I have to say, if these last 3 aren't good, see, the problem is, because it's Marvel, I'm still going to watch a What If Season 2, but I'm not going to have high hopes for it.
I might not.
I wouldn't blame you.
I'd have to be convinced. I'm gonna
be honest. I'm gonna be honest. If this season turns out to be only 2 good episodes, I might still watch it. We're not covering it on this show
unless it turns out to be like the first 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you watch it and they win us back, or win you back, because I trust your opinion. Yeah. So far, we're in pretty much alignment on the last 4 episodes. They suck.
Basically, yeah.
Especially after
I hope that they fix it in these last 3, because right now my enthusiasm for this show is like up here. Now it's like, I don't know. All right. Now let's move on to the final section of our show. Hopefully a more upbeat section after that. Woo. I've got 4 trailers for us to watch. One is going to be a TV series. We're going to watch the new trailer for the Hawkeye Disney Plus TV series. And then we've got 3 other trailers. So, yeah. Anyway, first up, Hawkeye.
This is the first Christmas we've had together in years.
I love you guys. I'm making up for some lost time.
Authorities are wondering if the masked vigilante who terrorized the city's underworld is back.
The past has caught up with me.
Should we be worried?
No, it's nothing. I'll be home for Christmas. I promise. When I wore this suit, I made a whole lot of enemies.
You're a Hawkeye!
Who the hell are you?
Some people have actually called me the world's greatest archer.
Are you one of those people?
It's the most wonderful.
Hey, babe, I should be back in a day or 2. Hang on a second.
With the kids jingle belling and everyone telling.
Things have gotten more complicated.
I have to say, I'm kind of looking forward to this. This looks good.
I have to wonder what the heck is up with it being set during Christmas.
Yeah, that I don't know.
What twist is that going to bring? If anything,
I don't know.
It seems like there's an artistic reasoning behind this. Like it's got to be important, right?
I mean, maybe it's just because Christmas is supposed to be like family time, I guess. And I mean, this would have been set right after he gets his family back from the snap. So I don't know. maybe that's their whole reason. I don't necessarily understand it either. But I am interested to see where this goes. I'm glad that we finally get a chance to explore Hawkeye as a character instead of him being just a secondary character, because we've gotten little to no explanation of him as a character up until this point. I mean, we know that he's got a family. We know that his family is very important to him, but that's about the extent of his characterization up until this point.
Yeah, and it's gosh, they teased so many things in the different movies about situations and events of his past.
Yeah.
And even his past with like God, Black
Natasha.
Widow. Yes, Natasha. Yeah.
Well, they did explain their running Budapest joke in the Black Widow movie.
Did I miss it? That's exactly what I was referencing too, but that
was the whole thing with that. I don't even remember what the dude's name is. The main bad guy's daughter. How she was killed. That was Budapest.
I'll have to rewatch that.
I can't believe you missed that.
When it went over my head, it went over my head pretty bad, because I've been wanting an explanation for that gag for a while. But, I mean, that's what they did. They did this in the movies a couple of times, okay. I guess they finally resolved one of them, and I just completely missed it somehow. I really do need to watch that movie again. But the whole thing with him not having a storyline up until this point, I'm really looking forward to see resolved finally. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
It looks really good. Who is the second character?
That I don't know.
Who is this?
I don't know. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Alright. So our next trailer is for The Matrix Resurrections.
Thomas? You seem particularly triggered right now. Can you tell me what happened?
I've had dreams that weren't just dreams. Am I crazy?
We don't use that word in here.
Hi.
Have we met?
Time to fly.
If you want the truth, Neo, you're going to have to follow me.
The only thing that matters to you is still here. I know it's why you're still fighting and why you will never give up. You don't know me, no?
Well, I guess we're going to have to watch all the Matrix movies now.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that.
Well, I don't know what the heck's going on here, so I'm going to have to watch them.
I don't think 2 and 3 are... I don't know. I don't think 2 and 3 are canon, but I'm not entirely positive anymore. But then there is canon from the video game, so it's... I don't know. I could not get through...
There's canon from the Matrix video game.
Yeah, apparently, like the part where he dies or something like that. I don't even know. I couldn't get through the first movie. Like, it bored me to death. I just gave up on it.
I'm kind of with you. I've tried to watch The Matrix at least a couple of times, and I don't know.
It's just never done it for me. I gave up.
Yeah.
And then I've always heard the second and the third were just not good.
Same.
So then it's like, well, okay.
But even still, this makes me want... maybe watching the movies is too strong of a reaction. Maybe I just need to watch like a Matrix Explained video or something on YouTube.
That's
and then go
fair.
watch this movie.
That's fair. Okay, based on this, what would you say about this? Eliminate everything you think you know.
I'd say I'd go see it in the theaters. I think it looks pretty interesting. But it's teetering on wait for rental. It's like on the razor's edge.
It's teetering between wait for rental and wait for a review. And this is excluding everything I don't know about The Matrix, because I don't. I really don't.
Right.
Maybe my opinion would change if I did know things, but because I'm like, what the heck is going on here? It's just all confusing to me. It looks good, but I don't know that I understand a dang thing. And it's like, okay, I don't know if I want to actually participate in this.
Right. That's fair. Anyway, let's see. The third trailer we've got is for No Time to Die.
Bond, any thug can kill. I have to know I can trust you.
Well, I understand 00s have a very short life expectancy.
You're a kite dancing in a hurricane, Mr. Bond.
Is this really what you want? Always alone?
We used to be able to get into a room with the enemy. Now they're just floating in the ether.
When her secret finds its way out, it'll be the death of you.
Oh my God. Target enough people.
Remember, people become the weapon.
Who is he?
James, you don't know what this is.
James Bond, licensed to kill, in love with Madeline Swan. I could be speaking to my own reflection. Only your skills die with your body. And life is all about leaving something behind, isn't it?
Come on, Bond. Where the hell are you?
Okay. So, my rating for this is probably going to be wait for review. And the only reason why I brought this trailer in here is because I want to see if we're on the same page about where this franchise should go after this movie is said and done. Because I know you're not a fan of these Daniel Craig James Bond movies, and to be honest, the few that I've seen, I'm not a fan of them either. They're just not great. So, I'm interested to see where you think this should go, and I've got my opinion, but I want to hear what you've got to say first.
Okay, so it's a James Bond film. Therefore, it should have a rightful place in my viewing experiences, as almost all of them have. I've just been so disappointed with most of the new ones that I'm with you on the wait for a review, because Spectre really let me down, and I don't know that I can go through another one of those, given that I've only really liked Skyfall out of the last, 5 films. Out of all of his, that's the only one. I wasn't really happy with the way that the last 2 Bronson films went, especially Die Another Day. or whatever the one where they went through North Korea. The titling has always been a little confusing on all the films because you know a James Bond title when you see it, but they're sometimes hard to remember. But anyways, I am kind of glad to see that this era is finally wrapping up. I don't know that I want another one. Like, it's hard to say. Like, as much as I like some of the things in the old films, I realize we can't do that today. Like, there are lines that were crossed that you cannot do again. Mostly with the womanizing of past Bond girls.
Right.
Call me bad for kind of liking some of the cheekiness of the old ones or whatever. I realize we can't do that again. But you don't have to take it all so serious either. And I think that's part of the issue with the new ones. It got too serious and it's not fun.
That's where I'm going to go with this. Because I think that they need to do what the Marvel movies have been doing ever since Ragnarok. They need to find a good marriage between taking itself serious, presenting a serious plot, and still finding a way to be funny. Because Thor Ragnarok, and basically every Marvel film thereafter, has presented a serious plot and still found some way. And there's different levels of humor throughout all of them. I'd say Thor Ragnarok is probably the most comedic out of all of the Marvel movies to come out in this like era. Mm-hmm. But even in spite of that, even like Infinity War and Endgame, there has been some level of humor. There has been some level of not taking itself so seriously, but still presenting a fairly serious plot.
Yep.
I think that's the direction that this franchise needs to go. It doesn't need to have a super serious plot with a super serious actor all the time. Let the man joke once in a while. Like, good God.
Yeah, and he's definitely, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but he's definitely been, with the exception of the few one-offs, like they've done like one film, one Bond, one film, like twice or three times in the past. But you've got the four main ones. He's the least of the four that I like. Out of the four big ones, Connery, and then Moore, and then Bronson, and
Brosnan.
Craig, Bronson, whatever. Screwing it up, I know, but whatever. Damn Irish.
Yeah. So that's the only reason why I wanted to watch this, because I knew that no matter how the trailer went, unless it was a spectacular departure from where they were going before, that we probably would be on the same page. So,
and it looks like it's not. It looks like it's the same. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. That's why I'd have to say a wait for review on this one. It's just, it looks like every other Bond film to come out within the last 2 decades. So, well, almost 2 decades. I guess Die Another Day came out in 2002, so I can't say that. But ever since Casino Royale, all those.
Yeah, but even Die Another Day wasn't great, but that was more... It wasn't because he was being too serious and he wasn't having fun. It was just other
Exactly.
reasons.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to our final trailer of the evening, The King's Man.
Our guest of honor, Rasputin.
I'm looking for someone who can help me gain an audience with the Tsar. Perhaps you can be of assistance.
I only make decisions when my stomach is full or my balls are empty.
Well, thank God dinner is being served. Small things can grow into big problems. We are the first independent intelligence agency. While governments wait for orders, our people take action.
Welcome to the club.
You're going to need a suit.
Very clever. Time to dance.
Can I just be the first to say, finally? Oh my god, this has been a long time coming. At least like a year, maybe 2, since they first announced it. Oh my god. I would 100% go see this in the theaters, and I'm happy to say that, because when they first announced this movie and they started showing trailers for it, I was kind of afraid that they were going to start taking the series in a more serious direction, having less humor throughout the whole thing. But my god, that was hilarious. This looks just as good, if not better, than the first one. And I loved the first Kingsman movie.
That would be some high praise coming from you, because you fell in love with that movie. It was it was so good.
The second one was great too, but the first one, mwah,
yeah,
can't beat it.
The second one definitely didn't live up to the first one, but not that it wasn't good. And I know it's funny. Did you pick these two on purpose because? We've had this discussion
no, but I can
before.
see the correlation.
We've had this discussion before. Kingsman is what we wanted what Bond films should be today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I liked it so much. It's like, oh, good. Finally. A Bond movie that I actually can enjoy.
I think we're going to have to do a retrospective review on Kingsman one day.
Yeah, we can do that. I am a little sad that we're not going to have. Oh God, what's his name?
Eggsy?
Yes.
Eggy?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Whatever his name is. Yes, I'm with you.
I can't remember it. Not that I could freaking pronounce it anyways. I'd end up screwing that up.
Yeah, it is Eggsy.
Oh Lord, yeah, I screw this up. Taron Egerton?
Oh yeah. Taron Egerton, I think.
Egerton. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is the King's Man? The younger one. Is this supposed to be freaking? What was his tagline? Gallahan?
No, this is much too early for any of those.
Wouldn't it be? Yeah, I guess it would be. Oh, yeah. Never mind. This is World War I. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Skip that.
I mean, maybe somebody in this movie turns out to be Arthur, because he's, like, super old, but...
I could see that.
I think that might even be pushing it.
Maybe Arthur's apprentice. Well,
maybe.
Arthur would be the apprentice of this person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I could see that. Arthur's mentor would be the correct way to put that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We love this movie. It was so amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I am glad to see that this is going in the direction that it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were right. I was afraid it was going to get too serious, and well, not the way they the very first line. The very first line.
I only make decisions when my belly is full or my balls are empty.
Thank God we're about to have dinner.
Yes.
I was like, yes.
Oh, it was so good. So good. So what's your rating then? I have a feeling I know what it is.
Definitely I'd go see this in the theater. 100%.
Oh,
now,
man.
I'm not going to, because unless somehow we're... Maybe.
It's possible.
It's possible. Maybe.
Depends on whether I can make it up there this Christmas or not with the financials and everything. But I can tell you, if I'm up there, we are going to watch it.
Oh no!
So just know that.
We would. I would go to see it. I'm not going to because I'm not going by myself. But yes, I love it. Absolutely love it. Let's go.
All right. Well, that's where we're going to leave off this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to leave a rating and a review on whatever podcasting platform you happen to be listening on. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Podcast Period. This episode was hosted and produced by Ben, co-hosted and edited by David. You can contact Ben on Twitter at BenPlaysVidges. That's Ben Plays, VIDYAS. And you can contact David on Twitter at Car6by16. If you'd like to chat with us about any of the topics on this episode, you can hit the show up at Podcast Period on Twitter, or shoot us an email at podcastperiodpodcast@gmail.com. That's all for this episode. We'll see you next time.